Hello and welcome to the channel, welcome to Top of the World. My name's Simon. Behind me is a garage. I put a car in that garage 7 years ago, belonged to my Sarah. I had to put it in the garage because we didn't have any money. Didn't have any money to register it, didn't have any money to fix it. It's a very special car. It's a car that I suggested to her we purchase because it's the right car for an Arctic region. It's also a very special car in many ways, but I haven't seen it in a long time. But now it's time to get it out, fix it, put it on the road. Not quite sure what I'm going to find behind this garage door. I did have a look behind it about 3 years ago just to make sure it was still there. I do, in my pocket, have the key. I have brought an air compressor with me. I can't start it. Well, firstly, the battery will be flat. Secondly, it's full of old fuel. So the idea is to open the garage, make sure the tyres are inflated. Hopefully it will move, reverse the trailer up to the garage, winch it onto the trailer, take it back to the yard. So let's have a look, see what's behind the door. There she is. And there that is. The tyres are still inflated.
Oh my god.
What?
This?
What, the car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not what I was expecting.
What would you expect?
I don't know.
Look at the mould on the steering wheel.
Oh, right. Look at the inside though.
I know. It's very special. You haven't seen under the bonnet. Right, we'll get the camera and we're going to open the bonnet. And this is what makes this car really special. And yes, Charlotte is with me. Right, yeah. You do the filming while I open the bonnet. If I even know how to open the bonnet. Oh. And that's what makes it special. Yes, it's a 4.2 litre V8. Okay, let's have a little look, see what's inside. Because I can see mould all over the steering wheel. So I put this, I don't know if you can see it, I put this temporary floor down before I put the car in there to keep it off the ground. Oh, it's locked. Okay. Well, here I have a key. Unlocked.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's a bit, probably need to clean the steering wheel. But otherwise, there's a bit of mould on the seats. Yeah, it's got mould in it. Alright. So I can see it's currently in park. Oh, the seats are really mouldy. Okay, that's okay. That's that don't look good. Yep, there's quite a bit of mould in here. There's actually quite a lot of mould in here. Anyway, handbrake's off as it should be, as I left it. It is in park. We just put our foot on the brake and see if we can. Nope. Not quite sure how we get to that park. There we go. Neutral. Right. I think I might need to get something to deal with that mould. Right, we'll move the trailer up, set the ramps down and see if she'll move. Right, so I managed to find that and these. Good guess. Good guess. Have I ever done that before? No. Clear the car forward or trailer back. Right. Do you think those ramps are far enough apart? edge of that ramp. And but it's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah.
Will that do something?
Better if they were in there because then they won't slide off. However, I can't move the van forwards because now we're attached to this. So the only other thing we could try is to let the car back off the ramps. Why has it all moved? I know why, because it's dragged the van and the trailer back towards the car. When they lifted out.
That pulled, then that came, then it kept this kept pulling.
It's quite a long way on the ramps already.
Yeah.
Should I care? No. No, I'm not going to care. I'm just going to keep going, but I need to spray down a bit. Wow, I'm amazed. That moved as easily as it did. Good car. Right, let's see what happens if we keep going. No, I'm not concerned. I'm not going to think about this. If that hook comes out, firstly, it comes back in here, so it can't go back in there, we'll lock back the door. No. We should. Yeah, I need to do that, Now I can't open the door to put it in park. That.
How did you do that?
That was a ladder. It was pristine and it was parked in the yard and the wind came and the ladder hit it and done that.
Is that not an easy fit?
Well, fortunately the body on these are all aluminium.
Yeah. So you could just...
Why is it aluminium? Lightweight. There's also no rust, but...
Yeah, surely you could just get something under there.
Yeah, it can be done, but it just reminds me of how sickened I was, because prior to that, the car was almost perfect. Yeah. So it is immaculate, pristine, except the door trim on the bottom of there, I've got that, and that was caused when it was sat in my yard when we first got here and a ladder fell over and hit the wing and it devastated me. Anyway, there we go. She's out of the hiding spot and now we're going to take it back to drain the fuel out, get her running so that I can start working on it. Is that clipped down? Yep, that's clipped down. Right. Okay. Not really my dog, he's Sarah's dog. Really. Anyway, we're back in the yard now. Priority number 1, put the battery on charge. Priority number 2, drain all the fuel out of the tank. Now I don't think there's much fuel in the tank because there never was. So let's do those two. So we've been out a bit of lunch. We've had this on charge with my big charger, and I just thought I would connect the battery up, and it appears to be drawing power, and the key is on the seat. So I don't like the fact that that's drawing power now and the key's out of the ignition, so we'll just give it a minute and see if we see any kind of smoke anywhere. The back open, which I've had to manually unlock. So I'm assuming now we've got a light there, look. Right, that's because the doors are open. If I shut the door, can we lock and unlock? Right, locked, and that should have unlocked everything. Yes. Okay, look at the mould. Okay, I can clean all that up. Right, so we have power to the car, so now we want to look at the fuel filter. Yeah, see, that's all lit up like a Christmas tree, and I've still got the key in my hand. Right, so can we look at the fuel gauge? Put the key in, turn it. Power. Oh dear. Oh no, that's battery. Where's fuel? Fuel. There, so it hasn't moved. So that's got, and it's dropped again, so that's got next to no fuel in it. Oh right. They must all be warning. Don't do this, don't do that. Right, okay, so there's no point in trying to drain that bit out. We'll just flood it with fresh fuel. Let's empty that into there and then see if we can start it. Fluids. It's the other thing. It was good when I put it away. Got oil. God. It's got all kinds of extra oil coolers and many things. Oh, that's not good. And not only is that not good, I can see a crack in it. Or you can. Yep. Okay. So the water reservoir has burst. You can see a crack at the bottom. I thought this was fully topped up with... Oh no. I thought this was all up together with its winterisation. I did. Yeah, that looks good. Oh. Right. Well, that's not going to bode well for anything if it's not had all this heavy corrosion there. Not really.
Why?
The expansion tank has burst.
What? What does that mean?
It means it didn't have the right amount of glycol in it for all the freezing temperatures. At least I think it has. I can see, I'm pretty sure I can feel a crack. I can see visually a crack, and I'm pretty sure underneath I can feel it. But we're going to have to put some water in it anyway.
How will you know for sure?
Well, if that ain't had the right level of glycol in this end, I just don't even want to think about that. Right,
Is that bad?
Yes.
Like bad?
Yeah, bad, really bad.
Like,
so I don't even want to think about that.
Okay. Let's just hope it doesn't then.
So what I want to do now is put that fuel in it.
Yeah. Have you drained it?
No, there's nothing in it to drain. Just want to put some fresh stuff in the top, and hope that the engine and the radiators are not damaged.
Right.
That's an oil cooler in front of the main radiator. Everything looks good from where I am. So, yeah. I'm just going to pour a bit of ordinary water in this just to see what happens. See if I'm right or not. No, none of that's a good sign. None of that's a good sign.
Why?
Well, it's definitely leaking out the bottom. It's dripping out the bottom. And I haven't spilt any, so somewhere along the line something bad has happened. Let's say if it's a pipe or a hose or... Right, well that's not a particularly good start, but not the end of the world. All that water's gone.
All of it?
Yeah. So there's no way I'd have put that in the garage empty. I thought everything was topped off and...
Yeah, it's all leaked out.
All of it's leaked out.
Oh yeah, look, there's that massive puddle.
No, that's not all of it yet.
Oh.
But it is, there is something damaged. Right, okay, let's turn the key then and see what happens. Right, turn it on.
On.
Well, I've got a lot of top end noise. I'll quiet it down in a minute.
That fucking scared me.
How's it start? Just like that?
I don't know.
After all these years. Yeah, it's got a lot of top end noise. I'm hoping that'll quiet down. Not pumping the oil up. Started to quieten. It's just gone straight to tick over from cold start.
Yeah.
It's an amazing car, this. Anyway, it's got some top end noise. Right, it'll probably drive off the trailer by itself now then. Okay, I'm amazed that started like that. Right, let's get it on its own feet. So I remember now, the alternator is seized, and I have a new alternator for it, and I have a new belt for it. But I never put them on because it had to go in the garage because it was broken. I also remember it's got really bad back brakes, which I knew it was a problem with the brakes. Anyway, what we've additionally got is a very bad water leak somewhere. Might be a pipe or something, I hope. And a top end knock, which I know is going to disappear. Because it's never had that before. Anyway, let's drive it off under its own steam. No power steering because there's no belt on the front. No power steering because there's no belt on. that'd quieten down quite quickly. Okay, so ignoring that, I'll just stand in front of that bit because that might have been everything to do with me. I know the back brakes are bad, so we're going to go through all the brakes, we're going to go through all the electrics. We also know the gearbox module is bad because that's in the passenger footwell that naturally fills with water. Known problem. I have a new gearbox module, thanks to my brother. I have a new alternator, a new belt. There's some corrosion under here. The lights are a bit naff, and I have to go through the whole thing, get it ready for its import inspection and then its safety inspection. And that's what we're going to do next. So this is sat out in the yard now for a couple of weeks since I moved it, waiting to come in. And I couldn't bring it in until I was finished, and I had to bring it in last, and I couldn't bring it in before I brought in what you can't see over in the corner. That had to come in first. I moved this in yesterday. I opened all the doors because all the mould is back, and because it sat outside for a few weeks, I absolutely know what has created all the mould. So 10 years ago, this developed a fault. It kind of had a fault to start with when I bought it, but it developed a worse fault, and it was a gearbox fault. The very first thing I've got to do is assess everything that I think is wrong with this car and how much it's going to cost to put right, along with how much it's going to cost to do the import and registration paperwork, because that determines whether this is going back on the road or not, because there's a limited budget to put this back on the road, and we have to do it within that budget and not outside that budget. So it's been sat outside for just a couple of weeks, and you can see all the leaves and build up we've got in here, and then you can see this air intake flap here and all the wetness around it. Right, well, that's where the water comes in, and you can see a problem down there. The other problem we've got is inside there. You can see the rust on the wheels and no belt. Right, something down there is jammed, and we don't know what yet. So the mould. I can almost guarantee you that's dry. That's saturated. Right, so underneath there is where the gearbox module sits, and that will be swimming in water. So we've got to have all this out, we've got to dry all this out, and we've got to clean all this mould up, because I can't work around all this mould, and it's really bad, really bad in here. Right, all that is mould. So we got to clean all that up, vacuum that all up, and dry this car out. Well, that looks like an English coin, not a German one. So everything is covered in mould. This is open because I needed to get the hook out, but we can see mould on the back of the seats, mould over there, mould here. So we need to vacuum all this out, take out everything that's not necessary, and clean all this. Look at all that, and that's all leather seating inside there. So, and I did, when we moved it, I obviously wiped down the steering wheel, and that's all come back. So we need to clean this out and pull everything out so that I can get this drying. I do have the option of putting a dehumidifier in there. We need to pull out the front seats and the carpets, and vacuum and clean all this stuff off so that we can free up all the gutters and prevent this from being a continuous issue. You know, we can see wetness lying around there, and I suspect in there is where the water penetrates the car. There are other places that penetrate. Do we think the battery's any good? No, we don't. So the other problems that I know is this here is the expansion tank. This is broken, right, burst. See all the wetness down in there? We've got to clear all that out. Right, so you can see that's cracked and broken. But there's also something else broken, so we've got to take this plastic off and depending on what is broken, jammed, seized in there, depends on how much we have to take off. But we might have to take the entire front off. See, I can see corrosion in there. I don't want to see any of that. I need to deal with all of that. So we need to get all the corrosion out of here. We have no idea what that blue thing is down there. No idea what that is. Do we know much about this? No, not really. We know a lot about those. We don't know much about those. And we don't know much about those. And we know even less about those. Okay? So, we know. Not really. Not exactly. Very little or nothing. Okay. A lot of plastic. We think we'll start by removing all the plastic and see what we got, because we know we have something burst down here, something to do with the water system. This is all air conditioning, and we know the battery's no good, and we know we've got all this debris here. So let's make a start by probably pulling out some of the interior and getting rid of as much mould as we can. And we do have a mould killer. So, and we're also going to get out an air line and a vacuum cleaner and get rid of all this debris, because things like obviously the wipers, they're all going to be dead. There is actually some rust bubbles forming there. That must mean the roof is steel. It's got to be one of the only steel parts. I think the inner doors, yeah, the inner doors are steel, but everything on the outside is aluminium. So where they've used aluminium for weight, this will be aluminium. I'm not quite sure how that, I don't know if the, perhaps the rear quarter sections or the rear section is steel. Hard to know what's steel and what's aluminium. I know there's a lot of aluminium in this car. Anyway, let's get to tidying this lot up and get some treatment on this mould. Right. Couple of hours. All I've done is cleaned all the loose debris and got rid of all the mould. No mould. Right. It's off all the door panels. It's off the dashboard. All the mould has gone from everywhere. Everything has been cleaned with a mould killer, and then a leather cleaner, plastic cleaner. We've got rid of every single piece of mould and 90% of all the dirt. So that can sit there now, and I'm not being contaminated with these mould spores. Yes, I wore gloves and a mask. And so I got in, this is, I know it says BMW on there. I have no idea whether they're the same bolt pattern or whether they're going to fit on that car. So, I can't remember where I happened to cross these, but they're good tyres and I really need them to fit. So these have winter tyres on them, but they're not studded, which means they're no good for air. You've got to have studded tyres. And that's a very strange size that fits onto there because of the sheer size of the brakes. So I don't know if they're going to work or not. We've got to do some checking on that. My initial thoughts are, now I've looked at them, they're not going to. But so we need to jack it up, take the back wheels off and see what we need with the back brakes, and then we need to get under here and start removing all this plastic and the front, so we can see what we're into with regards to the burst water, the water leak down the back, check the block, and find out what's going on with all these pulleys and belts down here. So that front one there, the one that you can see, I know that spins because that was spinning just when I was blowing air down there to clear out all the nastiness. So all the nastiness has now been got out. We're going to get that battery out because it's no good. And then my brother has told me all the different places to look when they took his car apart. his was really quite rotten at the front here. And I did know that when he was here last year and we were looking under his bonnet, all I could see was rust. Well, this is much better than that. There is some, right? But it does appear to be slightly better than his. There's a lot of corrosion down there. We need to sort that out. I'm not sure what that pipe is. I should imagine that's air conditioning or something like that. Okay. Yes, brakes. And the other thing this car does not have is an engine heater, which it has to have. It has to have an engine heater. It has to have studded tyres. It has to have 2 sets of wheels and 2 sets of tyres. And it has to have good brakes. And I know the brakes at the back here are not good. Right, that's going to need discs and pads, and I'm hoping not calipers, but it definitely needs discs at the back. Definitely, absolutely no question, it needs discs. Right, there's some big rubber on the back of this. Okay, let's get this in the air and see what we're into. Look at that. This was really bad with mould. So, and then we've also, I reckon, probably the best idea is to remove that seat. But we've got to get under here. I have been under here once because when we get under there, I'll show you, I actually put a jumper wire. Does it look wet down there? No, it doesn't. It's quite dirty down there though. Probably worth taking the seats out. I had to put a jumper wire in the gearbox module, which is directly under that floor there. I do have a new gearbox module, or a new old stock that my brother sent me 7 years ago, and it's still sat on my desk. Okay, let's get into this then. Now, I do know these wheels will not have been off in a very long time. So, firstly we'll see if we can crack them with our normal... Right, well that's just broke the socket. Okay. Yep. Alright. Really. Just break the socket. Okay, I don't think I've got another long one. I was only looking at a socket set the other day. Now then, that means I've got to have an extension bar going into that, which is not ideal, right, because these are so far in the wheel. None of this is ideal. Anyway, that's what we've got to work with. So I was afraid of that. Okay, and the problem with that is we can change this out for our bar and put a bar on it, but it's how deep that's in, which is why I decided to opt for a longer socket. Because this is going to want to twist on that, which again is it's like watching an old man fart about, right here, staggering and all that stuff. Okay, that's my finger. For those of you that saw that coming, you were right. Okay, that. So then, some of you be saying, well, surely it'd be easier if you had a doodah, a gun. I got one. Won't undo them. Right, it won't undo the ones on the van that I do up regularly. So I know for a fact it won't undo these. Well, it don't seem to do anything. Wow, that's going to be a black now. Okay. These wheels don't look like they're going to work. Is what I can tell you about that. They don't have the right distance in there. They're going to sit too far back in and they're going to hit all of that. So I'm almost positive these wheels are going to be no good. I can already see that's like that. I can already see that it may well hit the brakes. So we're going to pop it on, but it's the wrong kind of depth. Everything is wrong about. It's the right diameter and it might be the right bolt pattern, but won't be the right wheel. It's not even the right bolt pattern, I don't think. And it's going to hit the brake caliper. It's also... No, everything about this is wrong. Alright, where have we got to? So, she's up on blocks. The whole car is now up on blocks. All the wheels are off. And I've used compressed air to clean stuff. And then I vacuumed up the huge mess that came off. So, what I can tell you is, whilst there's a bit of surface rust on there, the front discs and pads, brakes, struts, everything is okay. Little bit of surface rust, right? But the front end is good on both sides. Everything is good. The back, however, has not fared so well. We're going to get into the maintenance history of this car. So the discs are destroyed. There is no pad. The pads are destroyed, so it needs discs and pads. I don't like the way the bottom of the shock absorbers look at all. There is a bit of surface rust, and the rear sway bar rubbers don't look good. Right, so there's quite a bit of cleaning up, fixing, maybe replacing the sway bar rubbers. Definitely the discs, pads, possibly the shock absorbers. Whoa, we didn't calculate that one. This is the same. Disc is destroyed, pads are destroyed. Bottom of the shock absorber there looks wet. Right, I'm not happy about that. Don't know where that's come from yet. And again, the sway bar rubbers don't look good. The exhaust don't look brilliant. Now I have had this. I did build a false floor. I have had this right up in the air, so any rust that has happened in the last 10 years is just a bit of surface rust, and everything else I knew the back end was bad. Okay, tyres. So they've not got studs in them, Simon. Can you leave the tyres on? Absolutely not. Oh dear. Oh dear. Right, destroyed. These tyres are going to kill you. That's one back one. Here's the other rear one. Look at this. Dry rotted. Right, they're going to delaminate. They're going to delaminate. Front ones, the same. Different pattern. Look at that. No use. No use at all. So, we have one set of wheels and no tyres. Okay. Right. Then what I did was I've just removed all the little bits of plastic. I haven't dug into it yet, just removed the plastics. What I found is not encouraging. I found that. That's not good. Right, that means there's been an owner that has just bodged it together. And there's been a severe lack of maintenance. Right, the other thing that is a little concerning, let me get a screwdriver. And I'm not absolutely sure what these are supposed to look like. However, having removed the plastics, the coil packs looked kind of weird to me. And I think they've been sprayed with a rattle can. I do. I think this has had, you would call it a Craigslist rebuild. I think that has all been sprayed over. Yep, see that? So this don't look good either. Now this is only the outside of the engine, right? But when I see this, and this corrosion, and then I see the coil packs have been rattle canned, right? That's alarm bells going off. That's what that is. Alarm bells. Yeah. What else have I found without digging into it? Well, without digging into it, I then found that. So you've got a toy wrap on here, right, holding this connector in, focus. Right, you've got a toy wrapper there, holding that connection on and some nasty muck around it. And then the plug next to it, you can only see part of this. What is that? So, I'm now thinking, because I'm finding things at the back, and I'm finding things at the front, and I'm finding coil packs, has this had a replacement engine? Has this had a replacement engine? So now what I've got to do is find the engine number, and then find the original engine number to this car. Has somebody had this out and done something silly to it? Because that's the end. If that's the case, I go no further. You see, the engine hasn't been out. Look at this. It was painted in the car, and they didn't even do a good job at covering the overspray. So somebody has done something in here. There's all the overspray down there to tidy it up, and they didn't tidy it up for themselves, because you wouldn't do that for yourselves. So this might be a pup or an old dog or whatever you want to call it. Might be no use. I'm not seeing anything wrong yet, other than things like this and that, and obviously the rear end. So I know I have a water leak down there. So this is the head gasket, the header tank that is burst. But then it goes down into a series of pipes, and one of those is leaking. And I know that because if I put water in there, right, well, some of it will run out of the tank, some of it goes down and it pulls straight out of the back. So we need to investigate that. So that tells me the engine has not been out, but somebody has had either these off or they've cleaned them up and rattle canned them. Is it rattle canned on this side as well? Where's that screwdriver? It doesn't look the same. Yeah. Yeah. You can see the layer of paint, thin layer of paint coming off the plastic. Okay. So this side's been rattle canned as well. Okay. None of that's good. There's a lot of corrosion, you can see. A lot of corrosion. And on the subject of corrosion, whilst I was on the back here cleaning this out, we also have, what am I looking at? Where am I looking? There is some kind of pipe somewhere where the clips have rusted clean off. I'm blocked up, she don't rock and roll, and that's the main thing. Was it under here? No. Somewhere under the back here, there's clips like that on a pipe that have rusted right off. That's the fuel pump right there. The exhaust. Yeah, I know, we're upside down. The exhaust don't look great, but it don't look bad. We've seen worse, and it has been sat for 10 years. So, you know, the rust is just skin deep, fortunately, and there is no rust on the car itself. And that could be because it's aluminium. I don't know. I don't know what this is made of. Sounds like aluminium, feels like aluminium. Hello. How are you doing? Hey? How are you doing? Okay, so we found a few more things than I knew about. That's a nasty little dent there, that is. But I haven't dug into it yet. So now it's time to take tools to it and get all the oxygen sensors off and the bits of plastic and everything else and dig into it some more. I don't know what this does yet. Something to do with vacuum. But whatever it is, we're going to have to replace all of that. Right, so let's start with the expansion tank. In the expansion tank, we can see big cracks. Once we turned it over, they're not so big. They look like more pressure cracks. So, then what I did was I stuck my thumb in that hose and stuck the air line in that hose. Air line in that hose, thumb in that hose. It's full of water, or coolant. Nice green coloured coolant, which is what should have been in there. So I'm not quite sure what happened on the trailer when it all come running out the back of the engine. So we're going to have another go and see what happens. What I should do is put you on my tripod. However, I pulled a cable, my tripod fell over, and I've double broke what was already broke. So now that's broke, and this is broke. So if I put my phone in there now, the phone's going to fall out and hit this concrete, and then that's going to be broke. So I can't do that. Anyway, you can see the water, or the coolant. So I've got to dig into that leak. I've used compressed air and blown that off. I've taken all the air box and everything out. I'm not finding anything else that I don't like at the minute, other than this horrible mess here. Well, I've blown off all the loose stuff. And removed, there is now an ever mounting pile of plastic. Once you start digging into this, remove the air off of that. I can pretty much see all the water pipes behind here, so I need to establish whether one of these is split, got a leak in, or what's happening, because I need that for pricing. I've got to tell you, the headers on the top part of the exhaust look new. So there's some stuff on there that's new, and some stuff that's looks like that. It's a bit perplexing, really. Anyway, I did find that. There's a bit of military tape wrapped around them wires there. I don't know why that's like that. We can get a better look at that now too. So we're just going to dig into this water thing, because I need to know if the radiator or anything else is split, or where the water was coming from down the back of the engine. I'm going to dig into that. That is not broken like I thought it was. So there's no question water's going to come out of there under pressure. But from inside they look like big cracks, and from outside they're just pressure splits. It was obviously under a great deal of pressure here at some point, but not enough to smash it. So, and like I say, when I put my thumb in that pipe and air down the other one, it pressurised and blew water out, or coolant. I keep calling it water. Well, it is water. Okay, it blew it out anyway. So I've got to have another go at that. I can't quite remember where we got up to, because it's been a week and nothing's changed, except I've had the battery tender on to charge up the battery, because I was trying to work on some electronics and the battery was no use. So why have I been off of it for a week? Because it's taken me a week just to work out what I need, find all the various parts, and we're not quite there, and order them. Because whilst I know my way around a Chevy 350, right, even worked on a 427 or two, I have no idea about an Audi A6 or this V8 4.2 litre engine, or the gearbox, or the electronics, and all the books are in German. Obviously, it's a German car, and. So it's a vertical learning curve, even to the extent I've now got 7 or 8 hours just studying the difference between ODBs and VCDSs. Right, because this is computerised. Modules, computers, all of it. Those who've been around for a while, you know I don't work on those. Right, I don't. Yes, well, now I do. At some point, right, you have to just say, I have to learn this. So, what am I doing today? The one thing that I haven't ordered, the big stumbling block, the parts costs. Right, I'm holding on. Well, actually, are they that bad? Okay, well, they're expensive for me, right, to say the least. Are they that bad overall if I can get this back on the road? No, we haven't talked about budgets, we will. However, the big thing is, right, this project is about to fall over on its face because of the tyre situation. So as it stands at the moment, I've only got one set of wheels for this car and one set of tyres on those wheels, and as I've shown you, those tyres are no use. Right, period. What I do have there is a set of BMW wheels with really good winter tyres. Now the wheels are the right size. The offset, the spacing is all wrong. And the bolt pattern is wrong. So these BMW wheels are a 5120 and the Audi wheels are a 5112. Right, that's the bolt pattern. They're different bolt patterns. And the offset is wrong. So what I need, really, is I need to change the bolt pattern on the wheel, and I need to move the wheel out. So, knowing about four-wheel drive vehicles and changing wheels and tyres, spacers. So does that mean I could possibly get a spacer that takes the 512 bolt pattern, right, and moves the wheel out to the right position, right, so we're not extending it past the wheel arch, it's just the offsets on the wheels. The Audi is much bigger than the BMW. And then within that spacer, change it to a 120 bolt pattern. Yeah, yes I can, and there's a reason for that. BMWs used to be a bolt pattern, right, and the bolt pattern is, right, can we even see? I'll explain it, but BMWs, right, pre-95, pre-96, they used to be a 5120 bolt pattern, and Audis were a 5112, yeah. Anyway, at some point they all went 5112. So somebody realised there was a gap in the market where you wanted to put more modern wheels on the older BMWs, or change wheels between Audis and BMW, whatever it is. Right, there needed to be spacers and converters because offsets and wheel patterns were different size. So I can buy a spacer, a piece of round aluminium, steel, titanium, gold, whatever it is, that I can bolt onto the original Audi hubs, and then that will change the bolt pattern to be able to bolt a BMW wheel to it, or aftermarket wheels, or pre-market wheels, whatever it is, you can change it. What that does, however it works, is 4 spacers for this car are quite cheap, not even the cost of 1 tyre, and I have to buy 4 tyres. So there's no money to buy those 4 tyres. So there's my plan. Buy some spacers that convert the bolt pattern so I can use these BMW wheels with the winter tyres, right, that are good for the winter. That allows me time to be able to work out how I'm going to afford a set of summer tyres for the original Audi wheels to put back on in the spring. In addition to that, I'm doing all this before it's been Swedish registered, inspected, had its origin, source of origin agreed, number plates, insurance, and then gone to the test centre to be looked at. If I arrive at that test centre and the test inspector sees something I haven't seen, which is catastrophic, we don't want to spend any more money than we need to get it there and get it roadworthy, right? All we need to do is get this up and legal and driving and safe. And that's all we're doing. In the course of my research, this is a high mileage vehicle, right? Probably mostly autobahn driving, looking at the mileage. It's also been off the road for 15 years. 10 years in our possession, 5 years before that since its last service. So I've ordered up all the service things that we need. I haven't ordered the oil, but the filters, blah, 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 blah. So we're going to obviously service this and do all the fluids at the same time. But right now, I'm going to try and explain about wheels, offsets and spacers. And I've got a very crude tape measure here. And a set of Audi wheels, the originals, the Audi car, and this set of BMW wheels, which I yet have to confirm. I need to go and get some glasses because I can't see, to make sure that is a 120 bolt pattern. And then I'm going to try and work out what size spacer I need, because this wheel needs to be moved out to the right place. Let me try and show you what I mean. This is the original wheel. And the offset is the difference between the face of this and the back of the wheel, or the face of that and the front of the wheel. But where these sit on the car, the wheels come out here, and we have to get the wheel on past the brake disc, right, and so that it's not fouling on this. So at the moment the Audi wheel sits in there and it's the right internal size. Now both sets of wheels are the same diameter and have the same internal size. However, we can see from this, right, this sits much lower down and we need to space this off. And we'll do that by having a spacer sit on there, right, that's thick. That spacer will screw into, right, the 5 1/12 bolts, and it will have another set of holes in the pattern for this, allowing me to swap from the Audi wheels to the BMW wheels. Now, I'm calling them BMW wheels. If you pop that out, they're just wheels, but they're a different bolt pattern. Okay? So we can pop an Audi one back in there and it'll be the same. And the wheel size is the same, and the tyre size is correct for the car. But if we try and fit this in here, it fouls. It fouls on the suspension arm and it fouls on the brake disc, because the distance between this and that is too small. We need to space it off. So if you was to bolt this to that at the moment, it would sit way inside the wheel arch and foul the brake disc here, the brake caliper, and the suspension arm. So we're going to try and work out now what size spacer we need. And it should be, because the wheels are the same width, right, which are also really difficult to obtain in Sweden because they're so wide, right? Cars in Sweden generally don't run tyres like that, so tyres are not readily available. I can get them, but they're not an easy thing to buy. Right, so are we out past? No, we're not. Okay, that'll work. So we're fouling on the caliper. You can see the paint I've just put on there. So we need to kind of space this out and convert the bolt pattern at the same time. And that's going to be about 30 millimeters, and that will give sufficient clearance down the back of that. And it will fit in the wheel well. Well, it has to, because it's the same diameter as that. It's just slightly narrower, which won't hurt on winter tyres. So, and I'm not bothered about the torque, right, because I've discussed this. I'm not worried about the spacers and the torque because it's winter driving, right? If it was summer driving, it's only a 300 horsepower output, right? That was new. So we're not going to be damaging anything and ripping spacers off, but it's the only way I can do this project and use these the tyres and wheel set that I've already got. So I have to use spacers. The other thing I should just check is whether is the rear, which I didn't check. So we've got to rebuild this back end suspension, shock absorbers, anti-roll bar rubbers, everything on the back end. What I've learned is the front end of the car, the engine's had all its services and all its timing chains done on point. The front end of the car has been rebuilt. It's had all new suspension, new brakes, calipers, everything. The back end wasn't done. So we have to put the same size spacers on this. I'm just going to pop that on there to see what, if anything, we're fouling. Nothing. So then what we'll do is we'll sit that down, space that off the right amount, and then make sure we're not outside of our wheel arches. And this is a wide body kit, so this is not a standard A6. It's from the factory, aluminium wide body. Okay, camera. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's acceptable. Okay. 30 millimeter spacers. What's 30 millimeters? Inch and a quarter. And a 112 to 120 spacer. That means I can use these wheels. That means I've got a few months to decide what's happening here and find the funds for some summer tyres. You alright, Betty? What's the matter? What's that noise for? Hello? Are you whining? Oh dear. He's doing this funny walk. Anybody? What are you doing your funny walk for? Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah. Oh, I know what you want. I know what he wants. Huh. So, doesn't that look like a mess? Is it complicated? Oh yeah. Oh yes. It's very complicated. And we're doing the cam chains and the cam tensioners, and we're doing the timing belt and the timing belt tensioners. So we're going to have all this apart, but we are going to do it in the car. So I've been quite fortunate and unfortunate at the same time. It's a very funny time of year for me. My outside stuff is all finished, because by now we should be frozen and in the grips of winter, and we're not. Also by now I should be on ploughing standby, as you'll all know. Have I chained up the tractor? Yes. Did I video it? No. For those of you who've asked about fishing videos, I didn't really go out on the boat much either. Right? I went out on the boat 4 or 5 times with my Sarah fishing. Fishing was bad, weather was bad, and I was busy, as you've seen. So that didn't work out very well, which means I'm short on fish for the winter. Not sure that'd do me any harm. Anyway, so it's cold, but nothing's frozen. So now is a perfect opportunity to do this. Have I ever done this before? No. Am I familiar with these Audis? No. 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 Do I have the skill set? Yeah. I have the skill set, and I think I have the right tools that I need, and the specialised tools that I need for the timing I have subsequently ordered. So everything's on order and lots of different parts. Am I absolutely 100% clear on... Let's put that light back on. No. There we go. Am I 100% clear on the water leak? No, I'm not 100%. However, what I do know is when I ever filled the pipes and when it poured down, it came out the same place as it did when I thought it was leaking, but I haven't lost any water because these are all still here. And if I stick my finger in the end, and he says, and there's no water in there. Often wrong. So I'm going to end this video, right, like this, because the next video is going to be dedicated just to doing the engine. We're going to do the timing. That's what it's going to be dedicated for. We're going to take the front of the car off. We're going to take the water pump out, the thermostat out, the timing belt off. We're going to lock everything together with the cams. We're going to have the rocker covers off, all the coil packs out, and we're going to be changing the timing chain tensioners on both sides, the chains on both sides. I think I've got to remove the cams. I don't want to remove the cams. And then putting it all back together and time it, of course, and make sure everything is correct. And while we're doing that, we're doing the water and anything else that is broken. I also have to get a OD or VCSD, VC. I have to get a reader. Well, not just a reader. I need to be able to change settings on this as well. We're not going into the ECU and changing the mapping, right, or doing any long coding, I don't think. But I do need a tool that does all that. Most of you can probably glaze over about now. When I get it, I'll show you what it can do and what we can do with this and how we can change it. But there's several things that need to be changed that are just normal settings. The lights, right, here in Sweden, they need to be on all the time, right? So we need to have the lights switching on as soon as you turn the key. So the lights are on permanently, like a Volvo. And we need to change the language settings on the driver aids from German to English. You can only do that via the settings. We can also check a variety of other things on this exceedingly complicated, ahead of its time, computerised car. It's not, anyway. So why are you doing it, Simon? Well, because it's my Sarah's car. Right? And it's been sat for years and years and years. And she has to drive the van. She doesn't drive the van because she don't like driving the van. She don't drive in the winter, period. She quite likes driving. And she now has the money to be able to afford to put this back on the road, because when we bought it, I knew it. So the price, I'm not into this a lot, or she's not into this a lot, because it was cheap, because it had a gearbox fault. So we can fix the gearbox because I have a new gearbox module. We also need to be able to change the computer to recognise the new module and do all the resets when I unplug the old one and plug the new one in. Interestingly enough, I don't think it's applicable on this, but more modern cars, 2001 or 2004 and newer, European cars, I didn't realise, right, you have to do a reset when you change the battery. And there's all kinds of other things that are computer technician orientated, which I know nothing about. Is doing the timing chains and the tensioners and everything an expert job on this? Yes, I've seen experts do it. They hate doing it. They also mess it up. I'm hoping I've learnt from their mess ups, and that I feel confident I can do this. But the reason I'm telling you this now is because in the next video it's just going to be this. Not necessarily the next video of mine, but the next video about this car, it will just be the engine. It will just be the engine. Won't be anything else. We won't have the dog and, you know, the chit chats that we have. And anyway, I've got to go and find the right spacers and wheel converters for this, because it's really important to stay within the tight budget I've set. And I've done all the light checks and everything else, so I'm pretty sure I can put this back as it was and put it on the road. Right. Thank you all for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.